What's going on, guys? It's David Piatek and Lourdes Fernando. Today, we're going to be talking about a new study that was just issued, or should I say published, talking about veterans and the VA home loan. Lourdes, welcome. Lourdes is, if you guys don't know, I am a loan officer. If you guys want to schedule a call with me, you could do it down in the description below. Lourdes is a Army veteran and a realtor that helps folks understand and leverage that amazing VA loan and all the beautiful real estate things that go with that. How are you today?
I am great, and I'm really excited about this topic because I just had a couple of these conversations with some people over the weekend.
That's awesome. And that's good. So let's kind of go right into sharing the report and just giving you guys our comments on that because we do this day in, day out, working with folks across the country. So this is a report from the Navy Federal Credit Union where they surveyed over 1,000 participants. And the four key things that they highlighted in this is that there's high awareness but low understanding. There's information gaps with the VA loan. There's high satisfaction amongst users, which we do get a lot of people that say, like, I never used the VA loan because I heard that it's a nightmare. And then role of realtors in a transaction. So let's break down each of these. I know that the writing is small, so I'll just kind of read through it so you guys have an understanding when you're either watching, listening to this in a podcast or not. And let us know down in the comment section if this has happened to you. So, the first thing we want to cover is high awareness, low understanding. So, while 92% of respondents are aware of VA loans, nearly half did not know that VA loans typically offer lower interest rates, and 55% mistakenly believed a down payment is required. In reality, VA loans allow borrowers to finance up to 100% of the home sale price and often feature interest rates that are a quarter lower than conventional loans. Now, that's something that they mentioned, right, on that. So, Lourdes, what is your take on this?
Yeah, so it's true. Every time I talk to someone, they mistake the down payment and closing cost.
Yep,
So that is probably one of the biggest misconceptions is like, wait, I don't have to put any money down. So why am I bringing any money to the table? You
that is
know,
a good
so
one.
so that is one of the biggest misconceptions. So I always go through that with the clients and let them know like, hey, there is some upfront costs. These are the things that you have to be prepared for. And then do you need a seller concession to help pay for these closing costs, or how can we be strategic enough so that you bring little to no money to the table, or at least you're prepared financially to do so?
Yeah, and with that, Lourdes, a lot of times veterans that have our service connected for disability will also think they don't have to pay for closing costs. So remember, these are third-party fees. What you do get exempt from is the VA funding fee, right? So
Right.
that's something the government controls, but the rest of these are third-party fees. Now, one thing I will touch on it with the lower interest rates. Now, if you guys aren't subscribed to VA Housing Education, highly encourage you to do so because we have videos on all these different topics. And it's not always about, I'm me personally, am I buying something right now? It's about how we educate the veteran community so you can always share these videos because everyone's talking about housing and what's going on. And so this is a great resource. So when it comes to the interest rate, like yes, typically you would see VA loans lower interest rate than a conventional product. Now they said a quarter or so. I would say that sometimes, Lourdes, we see it as much as 1%.
I see
And
that.
it's not just about the rate with VA loans. And like, I don't want to turn this into an 8-hour video, but there's so many technical components where a person can qualify for a VA loan, but not a conventional loan based on their financial situation. Okay. Because the two are treated very differently. And I do see the high awareness part because there's been, with technology and online marketing and the VA kind of being more proactive. Yes, people are aware of the benefit, but how it actually works is kind of a challenge, Lourdes. I know we come across that all the time, which leads us into the next part of the survey, which is information gaps. So let me read through that. So only 39% of respondents said they turned to official VA or military resources for information. Others rely on personal research, so about 20%, or family members, which is 9%, leading to confusion and persistent myths. Okay, that is 100% true. On average, eligible borrowers held more than two misconceptions about VA loans. Now, Lourdes, we do presentations all the time. And the first thing that we talk about is misconceptions. And nearly all the ones we list, people are like, I didn't know that. What is
Yeah.
your take on like, and I understand like it's like the private news network, right? The PNN, where it's like you talk to a battle buddy or you talk to somebody and they're like, oh, you can't do that. And I get that all the time. People will call me and be like, David, I watch your videos and you say the opposite of what everyone else says. Why
Right.
is that? And I'm like, listen, we go from the VA handbook, like it's what you can do. But what's your experience with these myths? And I know this happened to you too.
Yeah, so over the weekend, we had a presentation and, I took your slides and made them a little bit prettier, that's what we
Yep.
do. But, the very first slide that we talk about is the myths right away, and this glues. I'm talking about, like, people were like, "What?" Like, blown away within that very first slide, and I always debunk a couple of the myths, and I get them
Yep.
really intrigued in the conversation, and they're like, "Oh, this is awesome." So, the very first slide, we review 9 myths that, are out there, and people are just, like, blown away, like, "I did not know you can do that." I see people shaking their heads.
Yep.
I know, like, I we sold when the first house that, we bought, and we didn't need to sell it. So, that completely, I missed out on $400,000 of equity. I mean, that is between the time that I sold it and the time that I should have sold it. So that was something that really, really hurt me. And, we share about it and we teach on our channel and we teach when we do the live presentations on all these gaps and all these myths because it is out there. There's so much misinformation. And a lot of people would tell me that, oh, you can't do this. Even other lenders would tell me, you
Yep.
can't do that. And I'm like, wait, what? And I felt, because they're the expert. They do this every single day. They're known as one of the higher, like, the most used VA loan officers. And they were telling me that you can't do this. You have to sell, you have to do that. So even they didn't know. And they wanted to use, since it was dual military at the time, both of our entitlements under one transaction. And I said, no, absolutely take me off. I don't want, I don't want to
Right.
boggle up my entitlement. So there was so many things, even a credible lender that I thought was credible was telling me. I mean, there was a few things that he was saying. So do you experience that as well? Like I know I brought a lot of clients over to you, David, where another lender told them that they couldn't do something, and then you said that they could, and you helped them.
Yeah. So let's spend a little bit of time on the information gaps and I really understand where it comes from, right? So, Loris, you made a really good point. So, information gaps come from a couple different aspects. It's the consumers doing research and they're getting wrong information. You have lenders that don't know the information, but then they're telling you the wrong information because this is what they think. Like an example of like, I talked to so many people with like, you have to live in a property for 1 year. My loan officer told me. Where in the handbook or anywhere do you see that? That's a FHA requirement, not a VA requirement. Then you have the real estate realtors where I love this, Lord. It's they're like, I've been doing this for 20 years and I've never heard of this. And I'm like, I just my reaction, if you guys have talked to me on the phone before, I'm very candid. And I'll just let them know, like, this is where this comes from the VA handbook. And this is where I kind of want to lead to where do you get information? So obviously, we do this and all the stuff that I do on the channel is from the VA handbook, right? And plus experience. And I bring that experience part in is because the VA itself, you go to va.gov, you can pull your own certificate of eligibility. They give you a quick, they have like some resources you can go on and learn about the program. The challenge, Lourdes, is that how do you apply something that's 616 pages plus probably over 100 VA circulars, changes to the VA handbook, and actually apply that to your specific situation? And that's where things fall apart for them. And this is where someone's like, oh, well, I had a bankruptcy 3 years ago, and everyone I talk to says that I can't buy a home. And then all of a sudden you self disqualify. Or
Right.
you talk with another lender, like you said, Lourdes, where they're like, you can't do this, you have to do this. And then you're like, oh man. And then you have this missed opportunity where you then sell a home and you don't even know it, that you didn't have to, like in your case. But it happens more often than not. And the reason why, Lourdes, is like, because, I or you, we don't have millions of dollars a month to let's just market to people every day to so they call. But remember, when you paying for that, when you are calling them, you're paying for that marketing. So that's a huge one. Check out the VA's website. Check out what resources they have. Learn the basic stuff. You guys come to VA Housing Education to learn more advanced stuff. And if you're like at that road where you're like, what do I do? Just schedule a call with me. Happy to go over it.
Yeah.
Let's go over the next section. So, high satisfaction amongst users. So, despite knowledge gaps, which this part's interesting, Lourdes. So, despite knowledge gaps of understanding how the loan works, 92% of those who used the VA loan reported satisfaction with the process, and 91% would recommend VA loans to their peers.
Can
Which,
I sorry, go ahead.
go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I'm, like, jumping out my seat to, like, share my
Love it.
personal experience, but the first time that I got a loan, I had no idea what I was using. I actually got it because of my dog. I had a pit bull, and sh
Right,
the
right.
nobody, like, nobody would approve me for an apartment, and this was in Washington, and I mean, we immediately got pre-approved for a loan, used my entitlement, like, no issues, no problems. I actually got a check at closing, had no idea of what I was doing, no clue. It was ju we're like, "Sign here," like, "Cool, sign, sign." We had no idea, and we get a check, and I'm like, "How did we get a check?" Like, we actually got paid to buy a house. So I
Yep.
was a raving fan of the VA loan. I was out there like, "You should" I was telling the whole world, like, "You should use it, like, this is awesome. We actually got paid to buy a house, and we're in a big house, not like a little two-bedroom apartment," like, you know what I mean? So I was a raving fan. So, okay, I'll take it back to you. No
So,
idea what I was doing.
yes, yes. And this kind of, Loris, it is very exciting to use a V loan.
Yeah.
But this is kind of the I think challenge. Okay. So I know you're all about excitement and happiness, and I'm like doom and gloom here. But it's okay. This is
Yeah.
why it's great when we do these videos, so you kind of see it, right? So from my end, Loris, when we do some of these live events, people will be like, wait a second. What did you explain about the VA home loan and what the fee structure is? So
Uh-huh.
sometimes really happy, and then they're like, wait a second, let me go ahead and review my loan estimate and how much I got charged, and I didn't have to pay all these fees. So a lot of times people, because of a knowledge gap, right? I know. And it's so crazy. It's so crazy to me how many military families pay more than they have to. And it like I almost like even just saying that I'm like, oh man, like it just the stuff I see sometimes is wild. I mean, like it's just wild to me. And then like so families get depleted of all their savings using their VA loan when they didn't have to. I'm gonna leave it at that. I know, Lourdes. Go ahead.
My second house,
I
I learned and I think I called you
You did.
after I got my real estate license, I learned how to look, at a closing statement. I
Yeah.
think I had called you, and that's where we started to work together
Yep.
because I made the realization that I think I paid over $6,000 more going with another lender versus going with you, and I got mad at David. I was like, "David,
I
how come you
remember
didn't
that.
tell me? How come you didn't tell me that you could have saved me $6,000?" Like, we already pre-approved, it was like a whole mess when we moved to Illinois, but I got mad at you because
I
you
know.
should have just led. I could have saved you $6,000 and it would have perked up my little ears and I would have listened.
I know.
So after I learned how to read and learned that I'm paying points for this interest rate that was already super higher than what you could have offered me,
Right.
and then I had to pay the loan origination fee of 1%. My stomach felt really sick. So this was the,
Yep.
first time I used it, I'm like, "Oh, I used a VLO, I'm so excited." No idea what I was doing. Second time I used it, I'm like gut punch in the stomach. Like, I'm like,
Yep.
"What?" And then we got hit with the like taxes, and that's a whole other story. So I was not the second time around was very, very, very rough.
But the third time around, it worked out really good.
Oh, if
So
they're 10 around, I got a building, so
yeah,
yeah,
so we're
it was
sounds
awesome.
good. So, but this is why education's so important. And you know, Lourdes, you made a point. Like I didn't um tell you some of the stuff because you know what, our my mindset is education based, and I don't try to sell anything to anyone. I mean, you get educated and let's make a decision together to do stuff. So all right, let's go to the last one. So role of realtors, and we have a real one with us,
Yay.
right? In person. Well, actually on video, right? So while most military homebuyers feel realtors are knowledgeable about VA loans, more than 1 in 4 believe it's difficult to find a realtor who truly understands the unique needs of military families. Lourdes?
So just had this conversation at the presentation over the weekend, and they were like, had my realtor at least advise me on how to use the VA home loan, we could have kept our home.
Yep.
So had they understand. So a lot of things that I do is strategy calls. If they're like a couple years out, they're putting their plan together. I say, hey, let's schedule a strategy call. Let's get a plan together, put it in place. I can guide you along the way to make whatever dreams it is your reality. Just very similar to what I had with you.
Right.
This is my goal to own a I want to own a 4 unit. And instead of you saying, you can't own blah, 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 you were like, okay, let's put a plan in place so that your dream can become a reality. So that's what I've implemented with all of my clients. Let's put a plan in place so that you can, strategically use the VA home loan to create wealth. Whatever that looks like for you, let's do it. And a lot of the things that they should look out for, like, hey, I don't know if I want to be in Illinois for a gazillion years. Great. So let's look at somewhere where it has low enough taxes so that if you do decide to move, you can keep this as a rental property,
Right.
things like that. And this is where you should be buying. So it's very important to really, it's not just about selling them a property. Like a lot of realtors, they're just looking for that commission check. They just want to go out there and sell the property. It's truly educating the clients and saying like, what is your life path? What is your journey? How can I be a part of your journey and help you along the way? Truly being a guide. And a lot of people I talk to, I didn't know that I'm over 70% here in Illinois. What do you mean I'm exempt from paying property taxes? So they don't even know that basic benefit. And it always comes back to the realtor, the lender, your team. It comes to your team at the end of the day. So having somebody that you truly know and that would advocate for you, I think is like very important.
No, that's awesome. But that kind of brings us back to the information gap, right? Between realtors, lenders, and consumers. And this is why it's so important to educate yourself. And Lord, it's yeah, I mean, I feel like sometimes if someone's like, "Oh, I did 1 or 2 help 1 or 2 veterans," like it's not enough because like there's all these small details you got to know. And
Yeah.
sometimes the opposite. We help a ton of veterans, but then they don't give the right information. So
Right.
it's hard. It's hard, and sometimes you really have to go off your spidey senses. Like how is the communication with the realtor? So and that's something again you guys can reach out to Lourdes for, and she can help you out with that. So thank you, Lourdes, for being on today again. And for everyone out there, please like and share the video with the veteran community, and we'll catch you guys on the next video.